Welcome to Jets 360 Live. Olivia, Landis, and Eric Allen here at Lincoln Financial Field for the Eagles vs. Jets final preseason game right here for the Jets. And hi, it's a beautiful day out here, Eric.
Well, let me tell you something. I'm happy the sun has gone down a little bit, and I'm wearing the white color. The right color beside brought my white out tonight. But yes, the Jets conclude the preseason here at the Link against the defending Super Bowl champions. And you know what that means. The regular season is right around the corner. The Jets, of course, opening up on Monday Night Football in Detroit on September 10th. They're going to play 3 games in 11 days. We're going to know a lot about this team. But as far as the 4th preseason game, you're going to get long looks at some guys tonight who are making their final auditions. Todd Bowles said it this week, Liv, that there are guys who still can earn roster spots.
He's talked about it throughout the week, how there are some of those players that are a little bit on the bubble, and this is, like you mentioned, their final audition to be able to snag that spot. And there's a lot of positions up for grab. I've written about a few of them. You've written about a few of them. Wide receiver, a big position out there where they've got a lot of players gunning for those few spots. But that's not the only spot that we're going to be keeping an eye on today. One thing that I want to jump right into is the Teddy Bridgewater trade. Yesterday, late afternoon, news broke that Teddy Bridgewater was traded to the Saints. First and foremost, thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you what, is that Teddy Bridgewater did a good job, first off. He was a tremendous competitor. You got to talk about how far he's come, but when you look at the 3 quarterbacks on the Jets roster right now, there's Josh McCown, the 39-year-old vet. Started 13 games for this team last year. Had a career year, knows this offense inside and out. And then you think about number 14, Sam Darnold. He started the last 2 preseason games for the Jets. He's really owned the playbook, as Jeremy Bates has said. He's thrown for 2 touchdown passes in the summer. He's made plays off script. He's done everything that the Jets have asked from him. And then finally, John Wolford, the Wake Forest product, who was a tryout during this team's rookie minicamp. He got signed this week. He could see a lot of action tonight as the Jets conclude their preseason.
And something Todd Bowles did mention to the media is that depending on how much of the offense that John Wolford was able to absorb would depend on whether or not how much time he would be seeing. Like you said, I'm sure we will be seeing him at some point tonight, but that obviously depends on how much of the offense he can absorb. And that's a big offensive book to absorb in a couple days.
But Liv, they're going to narrow that down. They'll get him a set of plays that he's comfortable with, and we'll have to see what the quarterback rotation is. Like I said, Sam Darnold started the last 2 games. Josh McCown started the preseason opener. The fireworks are going off already here at
It's
Lincoln.
a little early for that.
Well, they're celebrating still from last January, and that's where the Jets ultimately want to get to, is win that Super Bowl at the end of the postseason. I saw Todd Bowles talking to some people here in Philadelphia, of course. He used to be an assistant coach and defensive coordinator here with the Eagles, so he's still got a lot of relationships with these with these folks. But in terms of the Eagles, I think they really set a standard around the National Football League as far as you never know what can happen, because they endured so many injuries last season, lost their starting quarterback in Carson Wentz, and still were able to maintain a good product and ultimately win the championship against the New England Patriots. Anything can happen in the National Football League. The Jets want to get in position to be one of those teams who are competing in the playoffs.
And in order to do that, you have to get some of these guys reps. I want to bring it back to the quarterbacks just for a quick second. Yeah, you know this. We're going to inform the fans. I was actually in New York City today talking to all of NFL networks, some of their analysts, some of their play-by-plays, some of their talent. And, I asked them about Sam Darnold and this quarterback situation that the Jets have and the Teddy Bridgewater trade. And first and foremost, a lot of people are very high and very positive on Sam Darnold. Not only the way he's been able to play out of the pocket, quick on his feet, be able to make quick decisions, good throws, but they're also impressed with his maturity off the field.
He's 21 years old.
21!
If Todd Bowles names him the starting quarterback for the game against the Lions, he would become the youngest starter at 21 since the AFL NFL merger going back all the way to 1970. Darnold is poised beyond his years. He is smart. He makes plays off script. He has tremendous feet in the pocket. I think when we talk about quarterbacks, we automatically think about their arms. Yes, he does have good arm strength, but he also is very instinctive. That is the thing that jumps out to you as far as what he can do in the pocket. He can feel the rush, and he has tremendous vision. He seems to always find the open receiver. No, he's not been perfect in the preseason, but wow, he's been really good, and he's put himself in position to be this team's starting quarterback when the season kicks off against the Lions. You can't say enough about Sam Darnold. As I mentioned before, Jeremy Bates said this guy's owned the playbook, and Todd Bowles said he's taken everything we've thrown at him. What a start for him. And I know he hasn't played in a regular season game, and it's going to be different when teams start scheming against him. But if you're a Jets fan, you have plenty of reason to be excited. And we'll talk about Mike McCagnon later, but that's just a little bit on Sam Darnold here to get you started tonight.
So Todd Bowles, although he is not named a starting quarterback, he has some of his quarterback situation a little bit figured out. So in order to help your quarterback be successful, how can this offense, what weapons do they have, and how can they really utilize the running backs, the wide receivers, to help a rookie quarterback like Sam Darnold?
Yeah, what stood out to me when Todd Bowles has talked about Jeremy Bates, it's one thing that he likes about the offensive coordinator, who also doubles as his team's quarterbacks coach, is he's committed to the run. The Jets play a West Coast system, which means in the run game you're going to try to get the defense to run parallel, and the running backs are going to get those cutback holes. The other thing that plays into Sam Darnold's talents, his strengths, is he's going to get the quarterback on the move. You're going to run some boots, a lot of play-action passes. Jeremy Bates is committed to the run and the pass as well. The Jets like that balance.
So speaking of Sam Darnold, we were able to catch up with some of CBS's talent analysts and get their opinion on what they think of the rookie QB.
Very impressed. Impressed with him on a personal level, just sitting down and talking with him. Impressed with his football IQ. There's a certain savviness and presence that you notice with him. But the funny part, when you're in the meeting room, he walks in, he's 21. And there's no questioning that. He's not a guy that looks 26. He looks 21. So you do have to remind yourself of that. He has to process so much at that position. And then the expectations that come with doing it in New York with a franchise that desperately wants to win and wants to be consistent. I think he can handle it. I don't think the bright lights bother him, and he can throw the football.
It's his composure in the pocket. Now, I know it sounds a little cliche, but we have to keep in mind we're talking about a rookie. You see some rookies get thrown out there into the fire, and they start feeling the heat. It's like a baby touching the stove, start panicking, but not with him. And that goes a long way. Even, the certain guys we had on the show, and they mentioned that when he first got in the huddle, he had a command about him. And some of these guys come in with a timid voice as if they're going through puberty and they don't want to make eye contact. And once it gets a little rough, they start to panic. Not him. So if I could answer that in a very short way, it's the composure.
He's going to have, if he does start for them, he'll have 3 games in 11 days. That means 3 different game plans, 3 different defensive coordinators, all sorts of pressure that you have to deal with. Learning on the fly, learning from the mistakes you made in the previous game, trying to make sure that doesn't happen in the next game. But, for Jet fans, I just try to caution them. There's going to be offside penalties. There's going to be holding penalties. There's going to be fumbles. There's going to be all sorts of miscommunication. There's going to be early timeouts. All those things that a rookie quarterback has to fight through. But I take the Jet fan back 2 years ago in Philadelphia. Philadelphia made the commitment to Carson Wentz. This is exactly what the Jets have to do with Sam Darnold. Make the commitment now, benefit from it next year and the year after, and hopefully he becomes as good as Carson.
great input from some of the talent down there at CBS. We just got a quick update on some of the players that are not dressed. We've got Marcus May, Jermaine Kearse, Avery Williamson. I believe that's all we know as of right now, correct, Iggy?
Yeah, there's no inactives in the preseason. There's going to be a lot of guys who don't suit up for the Jets in this fourth preseason game. Those guys are definitely not in uniform as we take a look at the landscape here at the link.
Well, speaking of Marcus May, let's jump to some of the defensive backs. Marcus May, Jamal Adams, the also-loved safety tandem down in the back. But we've talked about this all season. Mike McCagnon added some key pieces during the free agency period in Trumaine Johnson and some other guys that could be helpful this season.
Right, and we're seeing the defensive backs go through drills right now. Trumaine Johnson, outstanding size. He's a guy who's going to provide you a lot of options because the Jets can play more man on the outside with a guy like Trumaine Johnson, one of the biggest cornerbacks in the National Football League. He's going to make Morris Claiborne better. Buster Skrine out here has manned that nickel position for the last few years for the New York Jets. But, Liv, when you think about a game like tonight, you got to talk about the depth. Perry Nickerson in uniform for the Jets. He's a guy who early on in camp, he flashed and he battled a hamstring issue. But he was a guy who was very productive at Tulane University. The Jets got great value with his selection in the 6th round. He'll be a guy that I'll be keeping a close eye on tonight. And
also
then,
highly praised by Todd Bowles, right?
yes,
Perry
yes,
Nickerson,
yeah, no doubt about that. And then you can go down the line at the cornerback position. The Jets, number of positions, better depth this year, and that means that defensive backfield with the New York Jets. Derek Bones Jones. In his second season out of Mississippi, he's flashed throughout camp. Darryl Roberts is a guy who's got starting experience in the National Football League. Justin Burrs is a guy who's been productive on special teams here early on in his career. Rashad Robinson is a guy the Jets got for a 5th round pick. I anticipate he'll be playing a lot tonight. These are the guys down the line who are going to be battling for roster positions. At the safety position, Liv, yes, Jamal Adams and Marcus May, rightfully so, they get a lot of the headlines, but there is depth there. Guys like Doug Middleton, Terrence Brooks, T. Brooks, J. Wilcox as well, a guy who's made a lot of starts in the National Football League. What stands out to you about Todd Bowles' team is it has better depth than any of the squads I think he's had in his 4 seasons here with the green and white. And yes, I know in 2015 the Jets won 10 games. I think when you look at the entire roster, though, the Jets have better depth now than they've had in any of the years Todd Bowles has been here in New York.
And Coach Todd Bowles, LaDainian Tomlinson, I spoke to him last week, Hall of Famer, and he praised Coach Todd Bowles and his ability to really connect with the players and his ability to create depth these past few seasons. Like you said, it's very different from now, even compared to last year. You actually have guys battling for spots, and you know that you see that every year. You do see guys battling for spots every year. But there's something about this year, Coach Todd Bowles has said, some of these positions are going to actually be a very difficult decision.
So Bowles is out there throwing right now.
Look at him. Look at that stud.
Getting that left arm loose. You know he's a big Yankees fan. I know that's going to upset some Jets fans.
Yeah, you're going to upset some fans.
You got that Jets-Mets connection. But Todd Bowles out there loosening up the left arm. Of course, he's a southpaw. But all in all, he said it. Bottom line is he likes the chemistry of this team, but he doesn't know the identity of it. The identity will be proven in the regular season. Yep. Todd Bowles is very old school in his approach. He's not going to talk about identity until this team gets out there at Ford Field in Detroit and then starts to establish one. But he does like the chemistry of this group.
And, you know, it's built a lot of trust and respect throughout the players. Talking to a lot of the players last season right before Coach Todd Bowles re-signed his extension, a lot of players were talking about how they respected him, how they wanted him back, and how he's created this brotherhood and just this relationship that you've seen in the locker room. And you could see it when you walk in after practice. You could feel it, and it's good to see. These players respect Coach Todd Bowles.
The biggest change on the coaching staff when you look at Bowles in his 4th season is he promoted Bates to offensive coordinator, and Bates will be running that West Coast system. But he's been together with Casey Rogers for 4 years now. What I anticipate from the Jets, I know a lot of people were concerned about the pass yardage they gave up against the New York Giants in the 3rd preseason game. I'm not so worried because Todd Bowles is not dialing up the exotic schemes, nor is Casey Rogers in the preseason game. You're going to save some of your best stuff, some of your best blitz packages for Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions. The Jets defensively, Olivia, have done a lot of good things in the preseason, namely red zone. They have not given up a red zone touchdown. They're also getting off the field on 3rd down. I believe number 6 in the National Football League, and they're doing a lot of good things. Last week we saw Avery Williamson, who you mentioned before, not suited up tonight. He came up with a monstrous takeaway. Those are the kinds of things that you need from the defense for them to take the next step. Better red zone defense, get off the field on 3rd down, and create takeaways.
All right, so along with Sam Darnold, CBS Talent also gave their opinion on head coach Todd Bowles.
He is so respected around the league. He leads with quiet dignity. He leads. He's a leader. I'm so happy that he's back and has a chance now to do the things that every head coach that gets that opportunity in the league, to do it with talent around him, and starts with having Sam Darnold and Todd Bowles. You walk into that locker room, he's leading. They're going to be just fine.
You know, he was on the hot seat, just last year, early on in the season, and everyone felt like, let's get rid of him. And look what he had a chance to do. And I think he gets guys to believe. He has that quiet presence to him. I know when I'm ever around him, he has that, quietness to him, but he's got that fire inside, and you can tell. And I think he gets these guys, and he puts people in the right position. And certainly you need help surrounding you, and they are young, as we talked about, their youth. But it'll be an interesting year for him as well, and he's got to manage a lot of new parts, and we'll see how he does.
Oh, I think he's done a fabulous job. He basically disassembled a team and is rebuilding it, and he and his GM are on the same page. They know what they're looking for as far as type of player and quality of person that they want to build their organization around. So, I think they're doing a great job. I think they're on the cusp this year. I thought it was a great picking Sam Darnold, and I know they're excited about him, and I look forward for good things out of the Jets this year.
We're back live here at Lincoln Financial Field. Olivia, I don't want to jump over you here, but I got to talk about Bruce Arians.
Do it.
I love the hat.
The hat.
That's some swag.
Are you a big hat guy?
Yeah,
I don't think
hats.
I've ever seen you wear a hat yet.
No, I don't pull that. I'll wear that in late fall, maybe the winter time. But Arians always with swag to his game. I like the hat.
That's swag. Well, thank you again to CBS Talent for giving their opinions on head coach Todd Bowles. One other positional group I did want to talk about before we moved on, tight ends. Coach Todd Bowles has said this might be, quote unquote, the toughest position to make a decision on because there's so much talent at that position.
Yeah, you wonder how many Jets tight ends going to be on this roster next week. Right now, they have 5 guys, and all of them can play. Eric Tomlinson, he's the guy known as the blocker in the group.
Yep.
Then you think about Chris Herndon. He can kind of do it all. A 4th-round pick out of Miami. His production went up each season with the Hurricanes. He also can block. I like him out of breaks. I think he's a good pass catcher. He'll be one to watch throughout the season. Don't forget about number 85, Nate Sterling. Our colleague Ethan Greenberg just wrote about Sterling, a guy who played wide receiver in college, makes the transition to tight end, got good athleticism. Then you think about a couple other guys down the line as well. Jordan Leggett, good hands.
Big injury.
He'll be playing a lot tonight, I would anticipate. Clive Alford, a guy who's got some experience in the National Football League, also an other graduate of the U. I'm a Florida Gator, but I'll give props to the U.
I'm a Colorado State Ram. Go Rams. How about that? Something that is interesting that we've seen throughout this preseason, though, is tight ends seem to be a very large target for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Or just this offense in general under Jeremy Bates.
And I love that from Darnold, that he'll go to the tight ends. And we're looking at Sterling right now, I believe, on your screen. But he's a guy who can get down the field, runs crisp pass routes, and I like his versatility. I like the versatility of the group. It's going to be a fascinating cut down because, like you mentioned, Liv, all 5 of these guys can play, and I think it's a position the Jets are going to use more of when we get to the regular season.
So unfortunately, you said it a little bit, there will be 37 guys out of this 90-man squad right now that will be getting cut on Saturday. Leaves 53 guys on the roster, and then they will develop the practice squad the following Sunday. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword because on one side of the spectrum, you're getting closer to the regular season. The other end of the spectrum, you're saying goodbye to some good football players. But you want to say goodbye to some good football players because that means your roster is getting better and the Jets roster is getting better. The other thing to keep in mind is not only are the Jets releasing 37 guys, but 31 other teams are.
All across the spectrum, yep.
So, Liv, you're talking about 1,000 players that are going to be out there, and the Jets will be looking at the waiver wire to see how they can further address their depth, because the roster is never final in the National Football League. Whatever you see Saturday at 4 p.m., it's not final.
All right, EA, one more thing before we leave. What is one storyline or guy, player, whatever you want to throw out there that you're really looking forward to seeing tonight?
How about the
Final preseason game.
How about the 6th-round pick, Trenton Cannon? Okay.
I like that. Okay.
Because I think he'll get some reps as a return man. The other thing is the Eagles so far in the summer, 31st in the National Football League against the run. I had a prediction on our podcast, official Jets podcast this week. Number 40, Trenton Cannon. He'll go for 100 yards tonight. How about that?
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that wraps up our Jets 360 Live, but be sure to stay tuned. Post-game, we'll have all of your coverage on social and NewYorkJets.com. From Lincoln Financial Field, he's Eric Allen. I'm Olivia Landis.